I spent 3 years building a future with a Hispanic woman who secretly thought I was beneath her. I found out the truth the night she called me mediocre.
My name is David, and I'm 30 years old, the kind of man who built his life slowly and carefully, brick by brick. I worked as a senior financial analyst in Chicago, made a solid salary, lived in a modest one-bedroom, drove a fully paid-off Honda, and managed to save well over $80,000. Nothing flashy, nothing extravagant, just comfortable, responsible, stable. I thought stability was a strength. I didn't realize someone else could interpret it as weakness until Rachel showed me what it means for someone to decide your life isn't enough for them. Rachel and I were together 3 years. At first, everything felt easy. We were both young professionals trying to carve our way through life, splitting dates fairly, exploring restaurants across the city, dreaming about a dog and maybe Europe someday. She never cared about my car, my apartment, or the fact that I lived simply. Back then, her smile was genuine, her laugh unforced. For a long time, I believed we were building something real. Then things shifted, not suddenly, but slowly, creeping in at the edges. It started with little comments she'd drop while watching travel shows. "I want to go to the Maldives one day," she'd say wistfully. When I joked that we might go after I make VP, she would go silent, as if the idea of waiting years offended her. Then came the Instagram comparisons, women flashing designer bags, tropical vacations, massive engagement rings. She stared at those photos longer than she stared at me. Then there were her friends Monica, Katie, and Beth, each one living a life funded by boyfriends who treated their girlfriends like walking advertisements for success. One got a Tiffany bracelet, one was whisked away to CBO, one got a BMW. Every time we left those outings, Rachel grew quieter, more distant. I didn't realize jealousy was carving cracks through her until it was too late to fill them. Communication dwindled. Texts from her became short and cold. Our weekly dates shrank into monthly obligations. Whenever I asked what was wrong, she dodged. Finally, I confronted her, laying out my whole future plan, my savings goals, my timelines, the house I wanted to buy with her, the proposal I was preparing for. She listened, nodded, but her eyes were somewhere else entirely. My plans weren't enough to match the fantasies she'd been building in her head. Then came the night everything shattered. Beth's birthday dinner, an upscale Italian restaurant filled with jazz, expensive wine, and people pretending to live perfect lives. I came dressed neatly, ready to celebrate, but Rachel didn't even greet me properly. She was already tipsy, already glued to her friends, already ignoring me like I was a stranger who happened to sit near her by accident. The conversation around the table turned into a competition: Teslas, condos, stock options. Everyone bragged while I quietly ate my chicken parmesan. Then Rachel decided to speak. "David's still driving his college car," she announced loudly enough for the table to hear. The laughter was thin and uncomfortable, but it cut deep. I tried to defend myself. "It's paid off," and she rolled her eyes. "That's not the flex you think it is, babe." It was a small sentence, but it slashed through something inside me. I went to the bathroom, splashed water on my face, told myself not to overreact. When I returned, I heard her voice low, but not low enough to hide the cruelty. "I don't see him ever reaching the level I want for my life. He's so mediocre. He has no ambition. Mediocre. No ambition." From the woman I'd planned to propose to? I froze behind her, staring at the back of her head, realizing those words weren't drunken slips. They were beliefs she'd been feeding quietly for months. I returned to the table, numb, silent, counting the minutes until I could escape. Outside, she told me she was staying with her friends that night. Then, before I could even respond, drunk and angry, she screamed, "You'll never be good enough for me." "Never!" Her friends went silent. Strangers turned to stare. And I stood still, letting the truth of her words land like a blow I'd been avoiding for too long. When I finally turned to face her, I smiled, not warmly, just calmly. "You're probably right," I said. Then I walked away. At home, I sat in the dark, refusing to check my buzzing phone. When I finally did, her friends had texted apologies. They'd apparently scolded her. She had texted too, blaming the alcohol, begging to talk. I ignored everything. I needed the silence. Days passed. I buried myself in work. My focus soared. My productivity skyrocketed. Then Rachel showed up at my door, broken, tear-stained, desperate. She tried to explain, to blame her stress, her job, her insecurities, her friends. But the truth slipped out eventually. She wanted more, a better life, something faster, shinier, richer.